A bank manager burned a customer's $2.3 million check because he thought the man was a scammer. The crowd applauded. The video went viral. Everyone thought they were watching a hero stop a criminal. Then at exactly 3 p.m., the customer pulled out a business card, and everything, absolutely everything, changed. This is the story of the burned check, and the revolution it started. Let me tell you about a Tuesday afternoon that changed everything, not just for one man, but for thousands of people who would witness what happened next. It's 2:47 p.m. in downtown Atlanta, Georgia. Western Fidelity Bank sits on the corner of Peachtree Street, all glass and marble, and the kind of quiet confidence that money brings. Inside, the air conditioning hums softly. Shoes click against polished floors. Customers fill out deposit slips, check their phones, wait in line for their turn. It's an ordinary day, the kind of day where nothing special is supposed to happen. But sometimes ordinary days hold extraordinary moments. A man walks through the heavy glass doors. His name is Jonathan Reed. He's 45 years old, black, wearing faded jeans and a gray hoodie that's seen better days. The kind of clothes you throw on when you're running errands. Comfortable, casual, nothing fancy. He walks with quiet confidence, checking his watch every few minutes. It's a beautiful watch, Swiss-made, expensive, but in that moment, no one's really looking. They see the hoodie. They see the jeans. They make their assumptions. Jonathan's phone keeps buzzing. Message after message. He glances at the screen, then puts it away. 3 p.m., the messages say, board meeting, urgent. He has 13 minutes. He approaches the counter, reaching into his jacket. He pulls out a check and slides it across the marble surface to the teller. $2.3 million. $2.3 million. The teller's eyes go wide. She stammers something, then calls for her manager. This is above her pay grade. Way above. Brian Harlow appears from his office. Branch manager. 6 years at this location. Well respected. Good at his job, or so everyone thought. He's wearing an expensive suit, Italian leather shoes that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. There's a silver lighter in his pocket. He likes to fidget with it when he's thinking. Harlow looks at Jonathan, then at the check, then back at Jonathan. And in that moment, he makes a decision that will haunt him forever. He doesn't ask for ID, doesn't run any verification, doesn't follow a single protocol. He just decides, this check is fake. It has to be. Sir, Harlow says, his voice dripping with condescension, this check is fraudulent. Jonathan stays calm. I assure you it's legitimate. If you'd like to verify. Verify. Harlow laughs. It's not a friendly sound. I don't need to verify anything. I know fraud when I see it. He picks up the check, and then, I still can't believe this part, he reaches into his pocket and pulls out that silver lighter. A crowd starts to gather. Customers sense drama. Phones come out of pockets. You know how it is these days. If something's happening, someone's filming it. A blonde woman in the corner opens her phone's camera app and hits the live stream button. Facebook Live. The viewer count starts at 0, then climbs. 10 people. 20. 50. You want to play games? Harlow says, holding the check up for everyone to see. Let me show everyone what happens to people who try to scam this bank. He flicks the lighter. The flame catches the corner of the check. And just like that, $2.3 million goes up in smoke. The crowd gasps. Some people applaud. Can you believe that? They actually applaud. They think they're witnessing justice. They think Harlow is protecting them from some criminal. That's right, someone shouts. Don't let him get away with it. Harlow is loving this. He's playing to the crowd now, holding the burning check high like it's some kind of trophy. The paper blackens and curls. Ash falls to the pristine marble floor. You're kind, Harlow says, and those two words carry all the poison you can imagine, doesn't deserve real money. You think we can't tell the difference? You think we're stupid? Jonathan doesn't flinch, doesn't raise his voice. He just watches. His face impossible to read. The check burns down to nothing. Harlow drops the last pieces, grinding them into the marble with the heel of his Italian leather shoe. The ashes smear across the white stone like a stain. The live stream viewer count hits 500, then 800. "Let me see your wallet," Harlow demands. Jonathan hands it over without protest. Harlow flips through it, pulling out credit cards. These are probably stolen too. Security. 2 guards appear. Young men who look uncomfortable but follow orders. "Detain this man," Harlow commands. "He's a fraud suspect. Attempted bank theft. We have all the evidence we need." Jonathan's phone buzzes again. 2:57 p.m. 3 minutes until his meeting. He silences it. The live stream hits 1,000 viewers. Then 1,500. People are sharing the video. #BankBurnsCheck starts trending in Atlanta, then Georgia, then across the country. Harlow is giving a speech now about protecting honest Americans, about criminals who think they can take advantage of hardworking people, about doing the right thing even when it's hard. The crowd eats it up. More applause. Someone suggests calling the police. But there's one person who's not applauding. Rachel Porter, the assistant manager, stands near the back of the crowd. She's been watching everything, and something doesn't feel right. She's good at reading people. You have to be in banking. And this man, Jonathan, doesn't fit the profile Harlow's painting. Those shoes Jonathan's wearing? She recognizes them. Designer. At least $600. That watch? Real. She knows watches. Her father collected them. That's a genuine Swiss timepiece. 15,000 minimum. And his demeanor? Who stays that calm when they're being accused of fraud, when their check is being burned, when they're about to be arrested? Scammers panic. They run. They argue. They make excuses. This man is just waiting, like he knows something no one else does. Rachel moves closer, trying to catch Harlow's attention. "Brian, maybe we should—" "Not now, Rachel," he snaps. "Can't you see I'm handling this?" The viewer count passes 3,000. The video is going viral in real time. Jonathan checks his watch again. 2:59 p.m. 1 minute. He reaches into his jacket pocket. Slowly, deliberately. The security guards tense, hands moving toward their belts. But Jonathan just pulls out something small. A business card. He sets it on the counter. And everything, absolutely everything, is about to change. The clock on the wall clicks over to 3 p.m. The business card sits on the counter. Small, white, elegant. Harlow picks it up, reads it, and laughs. It's a sharp, mocking sound that echoes through the bank. Jonathan Reed, chairman and CEO, Reed Capital Group. He reads aloud, making it sound like a joke. "Oh, this is rich. You printed yourself a fake business card, too? What's next? A fake passport?" The crowd chuckles. Some people shake their heads. The audacity they're thinking. The absolute nerve of the scammer. But Jonathan doesn't respond to the laughter. He doesn't defend himself. He simply reaches into his messenger bag, designer leather, Rachel notices, probably $2,000, and pulls out a tablet. He powers it on. The screen glows in the fluorescent lighting. "What's this?" Harlow mocks. "Going to show us a fake bank statement on your iPad? Please, we've seen every trick in the book." Jonathan taps the screen. Once, twice, 3 times. He types in a password. Then another. 2-factor authentication. And then he turns the tablet around so everyone can see. The Western Fidelity Bank internal board portal. The official one. The one only board members can access. The one with security protocols that take IT specialists weeks to set up. Harlow's smile falters. Just a little. Jonathan taps again. A document opens. Board meeting agenda. Today's date. 3 p.m. Another tap. Shareholder registry. Another tap. Employee directory. And there on the screen for everyone to see, for the 5,000 viewers on the live stream to witness, the truth. Jonathan Reed, chairman, CEO, principal shareholder. 73% ownership of Western Fidelity Bank. The silence that follows is the loudest sound in the world. You could hear a pin drop on that marble floor. You could hear hearts breaking. You could hear the moment when reality comes crashing down on a man who thought he had all the answers. Harlow's face goes white, then red, then white again. That's not possible, he whispers. Jonathan's voice is quiet, steady. The voice of a man who's been holding his composure for 13 minutes and can finally speak his truth. I've owned this bank for 8 years, he says. You've worked here for 6 years and 8 months, Mr. Harlow, which means you've worked for me. This entire time, you've worked for me. He taps the screen again. Financial statements appear. Quarterly reports. Dividend payments. That check you just burned. Jonathan continues. That was my quarterly dividend. From this bank. The bank I own. You just destroyed $2.3 million of my money. My legitimate, documented, legally issued dividend payment. The live stream explodes. The comments section is moving so fast you can't read individual messages. The viewer count hits 7,000. 8,000. Rachel has her hand over her mouth. The security guards have stepped back, suddenly very interested in being anywhere else. The customers who were applauding, they're backing away, deleting their photos, praying they're not in the viral video. But the blonde woman is still streaming, still capturing every second. Jonathan pulls up another document. Employee records. There's Harlow's file. His photo. His salary, $127,000 a year. His performance reviews. His benefits. His pension plan. All signed off by the board of directors. All approved by Jonathan Reed. You've been a loyal employee, Jonathan says, and there's no mockery in his voice. Just fact. Until today. Today, you committed several crimes. On camera. In front of thousands of witnesses. Harlow tries to speak. His mouth opens, closes, opens again. Nothing comes out. Federal law prohibits the destruction of financial instruments. Jonathan continues, pulling up a legal document on his tablet. That's a felony. You also violated this bank's discrimination policies I personally implemented. You made racially charged comments. You humiliated a customer, your employer, based on his appearance and the color of his skin. He lets that sink in. You did all of this on camera. The evidence is being saved to cloud storage as we speak. Thousands of people watched you do it. Thousands more are watching the replays right now. The viewer count, 10,000. Harlow finally finds his voice. Mr. Reed, I didn't know. You thought what? Jonathan asks, not angry, just curious. You thought a black man in a hoodie couldn't possibly have $2.3 million? You thought I looked like a criminal? You thought my Swiss watch and designer shoes and calm demeanor meant nothing because of the color of my skin? Every word lands like a hammer. I'm sorry, Harlow stammers. I made a mistake. A mistake is adding numbers wrong, Jonathan interrupts. A mistake is forgetting someone's name. What you did, that wasn't a mistake. That was a choice. You chose to humiliate me. You chose not to verify. You chose to perform for a crowd. You chose discrimination. Rachel is quietly crying now, not for Harlow, for Jonathan, for every person who's ever been judged by their appearance, for every moment like this that happened without cameras, without witnesses, without justice. Jonathan swipes to another document, a legal form. Here's what happens next. He says, I'm giving you 3 options, Mr. Harlow. I want everyone watching to see this. I want everyone to understand that accountability doesn't have to mean destruction, but it does mean consequences. He projects the document onto the tablet so the camera can see it clearly. Option 1, you issue a public apology. Right now, on this live stream, you admit what you did, why it was wrong, and what it says about your assumptions. Then you accept a demotion to assistant manager with a 40% salary reduction. You reimburse me $50,000, not the full amount, but enough to matter. And you complete 200 hours of community service at a financial literacy center in the community you just discriminated against. Harlow is shaking, literally shaking. Option 2, I terminate you immediately. You lose your pension, your benefits, everything. I press criminal charges for destruction of financial instruments, federal charges, and you can explain to your next employer, if you can find one, why you were fired and prosecuted. Someone in the crowd gasps. Option 3, I do both. I fire you, press charges, and make sure every bank, every financial institution, every employer in this industry knows exactly what you did. Your name becomes synonymous with discrimination. Your career ends. Today. Permanently. The bank is so quiet you can hear the air conditioning vents. You have 60 seconds to choose, Jonathan says, checking that expensive Swiss watch. And whatever you choose, it's being recorded, witnessed, documented. Harlow looks around wildly, looking for support, for help, for someone to tell him this is a nightmare he'll wake up from. But there's no one. Even the customers who applauded have disappeared into the background. Option 1, Harlow chokes out. I choose option 1. Jonathan nods. Then speak. Tell everyone what you did. Tell them why. Tell them the truth. Harlow faces the camera. His career, his reputation, his entire future hangs in the balance. My name is Brian Harlow, he begins, and his voice cracks. Today, I discriminated against a customer, against my employer, based on the color of his skin and his appearance. I assumed he was a criminal. I destroyed his property. I humiliated him publicly. I made racist comments. I was wrong. Completely, utterly wrong. I let my prejudices override my judgment, my training, and my basic human decency. Tears run down his face. Real tears. The kind you can't fake. I'm sorry, he says, to Mr. Reed, to everyone watching, to everyone I've ever judged unfairly. I'm sorry. Jonathan accepts the apology with a single nod, but he's not done. Not even close. Because this moment, this viral moment with 12,000 people watching, this is just the beginning. Ladies and gentlemen, Jonathan says, addressing not just the crowd in the bank, but everyone watching online, what happened today happens every day. To people who don't own banks. To people who can't prove their worth with tablets and board portals. To people who just want to be treated with basic human dignity. He pauses, lets that truth settle. So, we're going to change that. Starting right now. Jonathan Reed doesn't leave that bank until 6:47 p.m. For hours after he walked in. For hours after a check was burned and a man's prejudice was exposed to the world. But those 4 hours change everything. He calls an emergency board meeting right there in the bank. Board members arrive, some confused, some angry, all of them having seen the video that's now been viewed over 2 million times and counting. And Jonathan lays it out. Clear, simple, uncompromising. What happened to me today will never happen to anyone else in any of our branches. Ever. We're implementing changes immediately. Not next month. Not after we study it. Today. He unveils something he calls the Dignity First Protocol. Every customer, regardless of how they look, how they dress, what color their skin is, everyone gets identical service. No exceptions. No assumptions. No second-guessing based on appearance. Every customer interaction gets recorded. Not secretly. Openly. Cameras at every station. If we're doing the right thing, Jonathan says, we have nothing to hide. Independent civil rights monitors will review these recordings monthly. Not bank employees. Outside experts who can spot bias that people inside the system might miss. Quarterly unconscious bias training for every employee. Every single one. From the CEO, yes, including Jonathan himself, down to the newest teller. We all have biases, he tells the board. The question is whether we're brave enough to confront them. Anonymous feedback systems where customers can report concerns without fear. And monthly community advisory meetings where real people from the neighborhoods these banks serve can tell them what they're doing wrong. One board member, older man, expensive suit, clears his throat. Jonathan, this is a lot. The cost alone. The cost? Jonathan's voice is soft but firm. What's the cost of what happened today? What's the cost of every person we've failed who didn't own 73% of the bank? What's the cost of being part of the problem instead of the solution? The board votes. Unanimous. The Dignity First protocol launches across all Western Fidelity Bank branches within a week. But Jonathan does something else too. Something that will become iconic. He has those ashes collected, every bit of that burn check, and he creates a memorial display right in the main lobby of the downtown Atlanta branch. A glass case, the ashes inside, a plaque that reads, "The cost of assumptions," underneath. On this date, a $2.3 million check was burned because someone judged worth by appearance. Let this remind us that every person deserves dignity, respect, and the benefit of the doubt. Prejudice destroys more than paper. It destroys trust, opportunity, and hope. People think he's crazy at first. Why memorialize your own humiliation? But Jonathan knows something they don't. He knows that change doesn't come from hiding our failures. It comes from facing them, from making them impossible to ignore. And then there's Harlow. Brian Harlow starts his community service the following Saturday, 8 a.m. Southside Financial Literacy Center. The woman who runs it is named Mrs. Evelyn Johnson. She's 67 years old, African-American, with kind eyes and no-nonsense attitude. She's been helping families in this neighborhood for 30 years. Harlow walks in that first day, expecting, honestly, he doesn't know what he's expecting. Anger, maybe. Hostility. People who want revenge. Instead, Mrs. Johnson hands him a cup of coffee and says, "You ready to learn something?" She introduces him to the families they help. Single mothers trying to open savings accounts. Elderly couples who've been denied loans. Young people trying to build credit, but getting doors slammed in their faces. People who look exactly like Jonathan Reed looked that day. Hoodie, jeans, tired, just trying to get through life. And week after week, Harlow starts to see them. Really see them. There's Marcus, 19, works 2 jobs, trying to save for community college. Gets followed by security every time he goes into a bank. There's Patricia, 43, nurse, makes decent money, but every loan officer treats her application like it's suspicious. There's Jerome, 56, veteran, has more money saved than most people will see in a lifetime. But banks assume he's there to rob them. Harlow required 200 hours of community service. After 26 Saturdays, he's logged over 600 hours. And he's still showing up because something changed in him. Something real. "I thought I was a good person," he tells Mrs. Johnson one Saturday morning, 6 months in. "I thought I didn't have prejudices. I thought I treated everyone fairly." She sips her coffee, lets him talk. "But I had all these assumptions I didn't even know I had. I looked at Mr. Reed and I saw a threat. I saw everything I'd been taught to fear. I didn't see a person. I didn't see someone's father, someone's friend, someone's employer. I just saw what I expected to see." Mrs. Johnson nods. "That's the work, baby. Seeing what's actually there instead of what you think should be there." Meanwhile, that video keeps spreading. 15 million views. 20 million. It becomes a case study at Harvard Business School, at Stanford, at historically black colleges and universities across the country. Hashtag Fireproofworth becomes a movement. People sharing their own stories. Times they were judged, times they were dismissed, times they were treated as less than because of how they looked, but also stories of change. Businesses implementing their own dignity protocols. Banks, restaurants, retail stores, hospitals, all asking themselves, are we judging people fairly? Are we seeing people clearly? Western Fidelity Bank's stock rises 12% in 6 months. Not because of some financial trick, because community trust translates to new customers. New customers translate to growth. Growth translates to value. Those independent monitors identify 47 bias incidents in the first quarter alone. 47 times someone was treated differently because of appearance or race. Incidents that would have gone unnoticed, uncorrected, without the new system. But here's the beautiful part. 47 incidents identified means 47 incidents corrected. 47 moments where someone spoke up and said, "That's not right. That's not who we are." The memorial display becomes something nobody expected. People make pilgrimages to see it. Families drive from other states. Parents bring their children and explain what happened, why it matters, how we all have to do better. Someone adds a QR code next to the display. Scan it, and you get free educational resources about unconscious bias, videos, articles, training materials, tools to help people recognize and confront their own prejudices. The movement spreads beyond banking. The Reed standards, they call them. Companies in every industry adopt similar protocols. Tech companies, law firms, medical practices, schools, and they see results. Measurable, documented improvements in customer satisfaction, employee retention, and community relationships. Jonathan gets invited to speak everywhere. TED Talks, corporate conferences, university commencements. And he always says the same thing. "I'm not a hero. I just refuse to let prejudice go unchallenged." The real heroes are the people who choose growth over retreat. People like Brian Harlow, who faced his worst moment and decided to become better instead of bitter. Because here's what Jonathan understood that day, standing in his own bank while his check turned to ash. Anger destroys, but accountability transforms. He could have destroyed Harlow, could have ended his career, pressed charges, made him an example of everything wrong with the system. Instead, he gave him a choice, and Harlow chose growth. 2 years later, Harlow is still at Western Fidelity Bank, still assistant manager, still earning less than he did before. But he's also the head of the bank's Diversity and Inclusion Committee. He personally trains every new employee on the Dignity First protocol. He tells his story every time. No hiding from it. No minimizing it. "I was wrong," he says. "Completely wrong. And I have to live with that. But I also get to grow from it. And if my story helps one person recognize their own biases, helps one person choose dignity over discrimination, then maybe something good came from the worst thing I ever did." Jonathan's company, Reed Capital Group, expands their community investment program. 200 new jobs in underserved neighborhoods. Small business loans with fair terms. Financial literacy programs in schools. Not charity. Investment. These communities don't need handouts, Jonathan says. They need opportunity. They need someone to see their worth instead of making assumptions. And that memorial display, those ashes in that glass case, they sit there still, right in the lobby of Western Fidelity Bank on Peachtree Street in downtown Atlanta. A reminder, a warning, a promise, because that's what we need to understand. Human worth can't be burned. Dignity can't be destroyed. You can tear up a check. You can grind it into ashes. You can humiliate someone, dismiss them, judge them unfairly. But you cannot erase their value. Jonathan Reed walked into his own bank and was treated like a criminal. But he walked out having sparked a revolution. Because he understood something profound. From destruction comes creation. From humiliation comes education. From individual pain comes collective healing. That burned check represented $2.3 million. But the movement it started? Priceless. It represents every person who's been judged by their appearance. Every opportunity destroyed by assumptions. Every moment someone's worth was questioned because of the color of their skin, their clothes, their accent, their age, their anything. But It also represents hope. Hope that we can do better. Hope that we can choose dignity over discrimination. Hope that when we fail, and we will fail, we can choose to grow instead of hiding. The movement continues today. Hashtag FireproofWorth. Dignity First protocols spreading to new industries, new countries, new communities. All because one man refused to let his humiliation be the end of the story. All because one man chose accountability over anger. All because on a Tuesday afternoon at 2:47 p.m., someone decided that human worth is fireproof. You can burn the check, but you cannot burn dignity. You cannot burn change. You cannot burn hope. And that's how you turn a burned check into a burned bridge to discrimination, a bridge we're never crossing again. Remember, your worth isn't determined by how others see you. It's determined by who you choose to be, especially in your worst moments.